So AI, is it leading us towards some kind of utopia, unprecedented abundance? Or are we actually hurtling towards a dystopia? Widespread job loss, social control. It's a pretty stark contrast and something I think a lot of us are grappling with.
It really is, and that's exactly what we want to explore in this deep dive, those two competing visions. We're drawing heavily on Vinod Khosla's analysis, AI, dystopia or utopia. It's quite comprehensive.
Vinod Khosla, he's an interesting figure for this. Maybe tell us a bit about him. Why is his perspective particularly relevant here?
Yeah, Khosla isn't just, an armchair analyst. He's been deep in disruptive tech for 40 years. Think microprocessors, the internet, mobile. He's seen these massive shifts happen firsthand.
Okay, so he has serious credentials.
Absolutely. And importantly, he calls himself a techno-optimist. So he brings this a very forward-looking, maybe even hopeful lens to AI.
It sounds like he sees AI as something bigger.
Yeah.
Fundamentally different from just the next tech wave.
That's his core argument, yeah. He says it's a difference in kind. See, past innovations, they were tools for the human brain. Powerful tools, sure. But AI, Khosla argues, actually multiplies and amplifies the human brain itself.
Oh, wow. Like how steam engines amplified muscle power. That comparison really changes the scale, doesn't it?
Exactly that. Before engines, physical work was limited by muscle. Engines let us use external energy to just, blow past those limits. Khosla sees AI doing the same for our intellect. A near infinite expansion of brain power, as he puts it, serving humanity.
Okay, so that leads to his vision of what a Star Trek-like future, post-scarcity, where work is maybe optional. That sounds, like a dream. But how does he square that grand vision with the messy reality of getting there?
He definitely paints a picture where, most current jobs might disappear, but everyone could potentially have a much higher standard of living. He's not naive about it, though. He's clear the journey is complex in that transition. It could be really tough for some people, especially those whose jobs are directly impacted.
All right, that complexity is key. Okay, let's start with the dark side then. The doomers, as Khosla calls them. What are their biggest fears about an AI future?
Well, Khosla breaks down the pessimistic views into economic and social fears. Interestingly, he thinks most of these worries are mostly unfounded, likely myopic, alarmist, and actually harmful. Strong words.
Harmful, wow.
Yeah, but he doesn't completely dismiss the risks. He acknowledges AI is not without its risks, and they are real but manageable.
Okay, so focusing on the economic side first, what specific anxieties do the doomers have about AI? Job losses, inequality are their numbers he talks about.
The big fear is definitely massive job displacement driving up inequality. Wealth gets concentrated, physical and even intellectual work gets devalued. He mentions this pretty alarming statistic. Potentially 80% of all jobs could be automated by AI within 25 years.
80% of 80%. That's huge. So what's Khosla's counter? How do we avoid that?
Look, he argues it's preventable with smart interventions. Things like income redistribution, setting minimum living standards, maybe universal basic income, UBI.
So it's about political will, not just technology. He seems to think the sheer abundance AI creates will almost force us to rethink our social safety nets. Why is he so confident democracies would actually do that?
Yeah, exactly. He ties it straight to voter power. He basically says Western capitalism operates by permission of democracy and its voters. If things get too unequal, voters will demand change. He even floats the idea of a 3-day work week funded by AI's productivity gains or transition funds. The idea is that democratic governments will have to manage this shift for their people.
That's a very different take.
Right.
Okay, moving beyond economics.
Okay.
What about the social fears? You hear a lot about surveillance, AI manipulating opinions, maybe even messing with elections, like the concerns about Russian interference.
Those are definitely big concerns people raise. Khosla's response is multifaceted. He points to legislation, collective choices made in democracies, and crucially, he emphasizes the idea of a diversity of AIs. He thinks we won't have just one giant AI.
A diversity of AIs. How does that help? Does it stop a single entity from getting too powerful?
His point is that different AIs will likely serve different interests, different values. This inherent competition and variety makes the idea of a single despotic AI overlord, as he puts it, seem far-fetched. Democratic processes would also, theoretically, prevent one AI from dominating everything.
Okay, but what about decisions AI makes? Things like healthcare, justice. There's valid concern about hidden biases, or AI just prioritizing efficiency over, ethics or compassion.
Yeah, that's a serious point. Khosla acknowledges it, but flips it slightly. He argues humans already have biases. Think of doctors maybe incentivized towards surgery or judges having bad days. AI, he suggests, actually gives us a chance to see and correct for biases, potentially leading to unbiased care or fairer judgments.
So AI could make things fair if done right.
That's the argument. And critically, he stresses humans will retain the power to revoke AI's decision-making privileges. It's not like we hand over the keys and walk away. He even speculates that future education might shift from job training to teaching kids exploration and discovery, potentially making us more human. He mentions the Amish as an example of a community choosing its relationship with technology, implying AI adoption won't necessarily be forced on everyone.
Interesting. Okay, what about creativity? The fear that we'll all just rely on AI, lose our spark, maybe culture becomes homogenized.
He pushes back on that pretty hard, calls it a narrow-minded view.
Yeah.
He actually shares a personal story. Apparently, he has zero musical talent, but used AI to create a unique song for his daughter's wedding.
Huh, really? That's a great example.
Yeah. For him, it shows AI doesn't replace creativity. It augments and expands it. It opens up new ways to create, maybe even leads to totally new kinds of jobs related to this augmented creativity.
Like being your own personal composer almost.
Okay.
I can see that. You mentioned other examples too, right? Like new professions.
Exactly. Hyper-personalized services, where maybe you're the artist, composer, producer, and consumer all at once. He points out that jobs like film producers didn't exist before film technology or Etsy artisans before e-commerce. AI will likely spawn its own new roles.
Okay, now for the really big one, the existential risk.
Yeah.
AI becoming uncontrollable, super intelligent, and maybe even malevolent, leading to human extinction.
Yeah.
This is where you hear some very respected AI pioneers like Bengio and Hinton sounding the alarm.
Right, the hard takeoff scenario. Khosla does acknowledge sentient AI is a risk. We need to be vigilant, he says. But, and this is a huge, but for him, he thinks that risk is far less significant than another more immediate danger.
Which is?
Losing the AI race to what he calls nefarious nation states, specifically China.
Ah, so the real danger isn't rogue AI, it's AI controlled by an authoritarian rival. That's why he's against international treaties on AI. Seems counterintuitive to some.
He calls them pointless because, unlike nukes, AI development and use are incredibly hard to verify or control across borders. He echoes Jan LeCun's point that current AIs aren't truly autonomous. They need human goals. Khosla puts it bluntly. China is the fastest way the doomer's nightmares come true. He thinks slowing down democratic AI development out of fear would be disastrous, essentially handing an advantage to authoritarian regimes who won't share those same ethical concerns or alignment problems. Imagine, he says, Xi Jinping's bots influencing Western voters without constraint.
That paints a stark picture. Geopolitics is the primary AI risk. But what about power concentration within democracies? The fear of, say, tech CEOs becoming more powerful than governments.
He addresses that too. He kind of frames it as a forced choice. If you have to choose between authoritarian state control, like China, and powerful tech CEOs, who do you pick?
That's an uncomfortable choice.
It is. But his argument is that tech CEOs, for all their power and flaws, still operate within market systems. They need users. They answer to shareholders, boards. They can be influenced by public pressure. Authoritarian leaders, not so much. They suppress dissent. So he suggests the CEO model, while imperfect, might be preferable to the alternative.
Okay, let's pivot. We've covered the fears. Let's get into Khosla's utopian vision. He called the dystopian view cognitively lazy, which is pretty strong. Why such harsh words?
He basically says that people worrying about far-off AI risks from comfortable positions, ivory towers, he calls them, are ignoring the very real, very present struggles of millions, even billions. He throws out stats. 40% of Americans can't cover a surprise $400 expense. 100 million lack decent health care globally. For Khosla, AI offers tangible solutions to these problems right now. Focusing only on potential future dystopias misses the immediate potential for good.
So AI as this engine for massive efficiency gains, what does it look like practically in his view?
Initially, he sees AI acting like interns or co-pilots for knowledge workers, maybe doubling or even quintupling productivity. He repeats that 80% of jobs automation figure over 25 years, with AI doing expert tasks like an oncologist synthesizing thousands of research papers better and cheaper. Near free, he says.
Near free expertise. Wow.
And it's not just labor. He sees AI transforming resource discovery, finding critical minerals like lithium or cobalt, and optimizing how we use resources, making the economy more sustainable.
And our daily lives. How does automation change things there?
He talks about 1 billion bipedal robots within 25 years. Think housekeeping, elder care, assembly lines. These robots, he argues, could free people from the slavery of the bottom 50% of really undesirable jobs.
Freeing people from drudgery.
Exactly. Plus, things like AI-driven personal rapid transit boosting street capacity tenfold, making local travel cheap and easy. And one idea I find fascinating, personal AI agents for everyone.
Agents, like digital assistants.
Sort of, but much more powerful. Acting purely in your best interest, shielding you from manipulative ads, from the brain hacks marketers use today. He calls it spy versus spy, your AI battling corporate AIs.
An AI bodyguard for your wallet and your mind. I like that. What about healthcare? You mentioned the dire stats earlier. How big a difference can AI make there?
Potentially revolutionary. Personalized medicine based on your unique biology. Early disease detection. Making quality healthcare consistent and accessible becomes nearly free. He points to a UK example where an LLM AI is already handling 40% of NHS mental health intake, apparently with better outcomes. Near-free mental health care.
That's incredible. And the global impact. You mentioned the bottom half of the planet.
Absolutely huge. Khosla cites a Lancet study, 63% of child deaths in many developing nations are preventable with better primary care. That's 6 million kids a year. He argues AI is the only realistic way to deliver that level of care globally, affordably. For him, weighing the potential risk of sentient AI against the certainty of 6 million preventable deaths each year, it's no contest. We have immediate problems AI can solve.
That really puts the risk debate into perspective. Okay, what about education? How does AI change learning?
Personalization is key. AI tutors adapting to each student's pace, needs, interests, making truly high-quality education available everywhere, regardless of, your zip code or school district. He says AI tutors, available 204/7 for any subject, are the only chance to give every child on Earth a shot at real opportunity.
Democratizing knowledge on a massive scale.
Right?
And the environment.
Yeah, AI is crucial there too. Optimizing energy grids, cutting emissions, speeding up development of renewables, making farming more sustainable. He also mentions needing complementary tech, like fusion power, for the cheap, abundant energy this AI-powered world would need.
Okay, and you mentioned ethics and governance earlier. How does AI make society more just?
By reducing human bias, promoting transparency, helping craft evidence-based policy, he imagines lawyers for every citizen 24/7, maybe even plentiful AI judges offering unbiased justice. Legal and financial advice could become essentially free public services.
This sounds like a fundamental shift in, well, everything.
Yeah.
Human flourishing, well-being, redefining what it means to be human, almost.
That's exactly Khosla's point. If basic needs are met, our focus shifts from just surviving what he calls survival servitude to higher pursuits. Passions, creativity, well-being. He actually mentioned back in 2000 that we might need to rethink being human.
And he's critical of current work structures, right?
Yeah.
Comparing long hours in finance or repetitive factory work to servitude.
Yes, he argues that's not true human flourishing. He brings up Keynes's old prediction of a 15-hour work week and suggests AI could get us to maybe a 3-day work week in 10-20 years.
So what do we do with all that free time?
That's the exciting part. Human energy shifts to culture, art, science, philosophy, exploration, creativity, even competition and adventure. Things we do because we want to, not because we have to.
Sounds amazing. But surely there are roadblocks. What stops this utopia from happening?
Oh, he lists plenty. Resistance from incumbents, like maybe unions fighting automation, politicians exploiting fears, technical glitches, funding issues, general anti-tech sentiment, media hype focusing on the negative. Lots of hurdles.
So how do we overcome them?
His main answer is the democratization of AI itself. Things like low-code and no-code tools, open APIs. It means AI development won't just be locked up in a few giant companies. Innovation can come from anywhere, making it harder for any single group to block progress or monopolize the benefits.
Okay, so let's talk timelines. You said the next 5 years might be incremental, but then?
Yeah, he sees the 10 to 20-year window bringing dramatic transformations. The full utopia, that abundance, freedom, creative explosion, maybe 25 years out. Visible, he thinks, but the exact pace is hard to pin down.
And this will force changes to capitalism, right? He mentioned empathetic capitalism. How does our economic system adapt?
It has to, he argues. Capitalism is great at efficiency, but AI's abundance creates the capacity for more focus on empathy and equality. He warns we can't just assume history repeats itself. New jobs always replacing old ones. AI is different.
He used that agriculture example, didn't he? Shifting from 40% to 4% of the workforce took generations.
Right. 3 generations. AI's impact, he warns, will be much faster, so we need proactive change. Societies embracing AI will have the resources for that empathetic capitalism.
What about deflation? If AI makes everything super cheap, isn't that bad for the economy?
It's a different kind of deflation, Khosla argues, not the bad kind from falling demand. This is deflation from radical productivity, near zero labor costs, cheap robots, abundant resources found by AI. If we have something like UBI in place, people still have spending power, so this good deflation just means everyone can afford more. Your standard of living goes way up.
So our standard metrics, like GDP, might not even make sense anymore.
Exactly. He thinks GDP could become a distortion of prosperity. Well-being and actual consumption could soar even if GDP technically shrinks because prices are falling. We might need new ways to measure economic health.
So it really boils down to policy choices. Huge decisions for society.
Crucial ones. Do we speed up AI, slow it down?
Yeah.
How do we support those displaced? UBI becomes central in his view. The economic constraints that make UBI seem difficult now, AI's abundance could make them disappear. He calls it a luxury we haven't had before, the ability to design policy much more empathetically because the resources are there.
So ultimately, dystopia or utopia isn't baked into the technology. It's about the choices we make collectively.
That's the core message. It's up to us, society by society, how we guide this incredibly powerful tool. With survival needs met, human focus shifts to the intangibles, the big questions, the deep needs. He believes human nature can finally express itself fully for the first time in history.
And this isn't just for the wealthy few. It's about lifting everyone.
That's the grand ambition, as he puts it. Taking the lifestyle maybe the top 10% enjoy today and making it accessible to all 7 or 8 billion people. AI is the necessary force multiplier to scale everything, energy, resources, healthcare expertise, by that 10x factor.
So AI is a tool, like fire or nuclear power or biotech. Can be used for incredible good or for bad.
Precisely. His final plea is that it's imperative that we choose carefully and use it to construct that possible world. We shouldn't forsake the benefits out of fear of the unknown.
Okay, a lot to think about there. So here's a final thought for you, our listener. If AI really does free humanity from survival servitude, as Khosla puts it, and brings about this post-scarcity world, what happens next? What new kinds of human goals, meanings, maybe even new conflicts emerge when everyone effectively lives like royalty, free to pursue whatever truly matters to them? What does that future actually look like? Something to ponder.